Honey, if you are not using an Instant Pot to help you get dishes out quick in the kitchen, then baby, I don't know what you're doing, okay? Because pressure cookers can really come in handy when you want to make a lot of sides or mains really quickly. Today, I'm going to show you 3 of my favorite recipes to make in an Instant Pot. Y'all, let's go ahead and get into it. Everyone in your family is going to love this delicious Southern style green beans and potatoes with bacon. These potatoes are super buttery. You have a delicious pot liquor as well as a little bit of salty bacon, but just not too much. Honey, these are so good. So first I'm going to slice up some onions and then just mince a few garlic cloves. Now you could go ham with the bacon, okay? But I choose to just use about 3 strips. But you could use up to about 6 if you want lots of meat. I like to keep it a little bit minimal because these are fresh green beans and I want that fresh taste to come through. For the potatoes, you could choose any potato you like, but oh my goodness, these honey gold potatoes are the absolute best. They are very tender and buttery, and they just have this cute golden color. I love them. So the ones that are a little bit large, I'm going to cut those into 4s, and then the other ones I'm going to cut in half. And then I'm going to place all the potatoes in a bowl of water because we don't want them to change color while we're prepping the rest of the dish. Next thing you want to do is that you want to put your Instant Pot on saute mode. This is going to cut on the bottom burner, and then we are going to saute the bacon with some butter. Okay, y'all know I'm country, so I got to have both. Okay, I'm going to saute this until the bacon has rendered its fat and it's nice and crispy. The bacon grease is going to keep that butter from burning, so don't worry, you can go ahead and add that right in there, okay? Then you're going to take out your crispy pieces of bacon and set them to the side and place in your onion to saute for about 2 minutes. I want a nice little color to get on them, and then I'm going to put in my garlic and I'm going to have that saute for about 30 seconds until it is nice and aromatic. Then you want to put in all of your potatoes. I am using about half of a pound of potatoes because I don't love tons of potatoes in my green beans. However, I know some of y'all are some potato lovers, okay? You could put up to a pound of potatoes into this dish. I have a really nice blend of spices. This is a little chicken bouillon, a little buttery steakhouse seasoning, some red pepper flakes, some white pepper. All of that is going to be so good in this with these potatoes with a little bit of salt. So I put in half the seasoning blend, and you know potatoes can just soak up some salt. So I'm putting some directly on them. I'm going to mix this together and then add in 1 cup of chicken broth. If you decide to add more potatoes, you actually don't need to add more chicken broth unless you just want tons of pot liquor. I am using some pre-washed, pre-snipped green beans just to keep everything simple. Now, yes, y'all, I actually did go through and rinse them again because y'all know, I'm black. We don't trust all of that stuff, okay? We do be rinsing it again, all right? And then I'm going to put the rest of the seasonings on top of the green beans with some more butter, baby. Okay, you know it got to be some nice, good grass-fed butter. Going to put an extra tablespoon right on top. Lock on that lid. And this is only going to take 5 minutes to pressure cook. Now, baby, don't be doing more than that. Okay, your green beans just going to break down into nothing. Honey, this pressure cooker is strong. Okay, you don't need to do it for that long. So it's going to natural pressure release for just 3 minutes, and then I am going to quick release the rest of the way. I like to add a little kitchen towel on the back of the little release valve just so water doesn't spurt everywhere around my kitchen. When that nozzle drops, you know you can open your Instant Pot lid, and then, ooh, baby, when I tell you this is nice and good, honey, you're going to like this, all right? So I just pushed aside the green beans. I'm going to show you them potatoes. They are indeed tender. They're tender, but they're not completely falling apart, and they're not mushy. They're the perfect texture. And the best part for me is that these green beans still got some fight in them. Okay, I just can't eat super mushy green beans. I don't like that at all. I just prefer to have a bit of texture. Now, them onions and gave up the ghost, but ain't nobody checking for the onions, okay? They just making everything else taste good. Once I've plated everything up, I'm going to sprinkle the bacon on top so that it will be a little bit crispy and honey. This is a wonderful, delicious side dish. Get those mashed potatoes off of the stove and into your Instant Pot. In only about 10 to 15 minutes, you will have some tender potatoes that can never be waterlogged because you're basically steaming them instead of boiling them for so long on the stove like you would do in a pot. Guys, these Instant Pot potatoes are creamy, delicious, and very easy to put together. I'm going to start by prepping 3 pounds of golden potatoes. These are my absolute favorite to use in mashed potatoes because they become very creamy and also buttery. I'm going to use a veggie brush to brush off the skin or just rub 2 potatoes together to get off that extra grit. You have the option to leave on the skin or to peel it off. I do either. Sometimes I like to keep it, especially if they're red potatoes, and other times I peel it. But today mine had a couple of like bumps on the skin and things like that, so I decided to peel them. However, no matter what you do need to cut the potatoes to an even size. They need to be approximately 1-inch pieces. This is important because you want them to cook evenly in the Instant Pot. Once I've done chopping them, I'm going to place them to a side in a bowl of water so they do not become brown. Because honey, nobody wants to eat some brown mashed potatoes. When you have finished, drain off that excess water and then put all of your potatoes into your Instant Pot. I am going to add 1 cup of water. You don't need to add more than this. Okay, trust me. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but this is essentially going to steam. Then I'm putting half of a tablespoon of salt and about 1/4 of a teaspoon of white pepper. I know this seems like a lot of salt, but y'all know potatoes are super bland. And in fact, I end up adding a little bit more. I'm then going to put on my pressure cooker lid and we are going to pressure cook this for 10 minutes. Then you want to allow it to natural pressure release for about 5 to 10 minutes. You know, if you go a little over, it doesn't matter because remember, we're going to mash them. So it doesn't matter if they're a little too soft. Then I'm going to release the rest of the steam, take off the lid, and then you have the option of draining the potatoes. There's really not that much liquid, so honestly, I could have left it and it would have been fine. You can do whatever you prefer. Then I'm going to put them back into the Instant Pot, and then I'm going to put this on saute mode on the low. I want to warm up that butter as well as the sour cream and half that I'm putting in here before I start to pound it into the potatoes so that the texture of the mashed potatoes stays really nice. So once I see that they've kind of warmed in the pot, then I'm going to go in with a potato masher and just start to, get into it. All right. I like mine to be, smooth-ish. I don't really care if I don't get out every single lump, but you're going to see that this is really easy because these potatoes are very soft and tender. Then you're going to taste your potatoes and just adjust the butter, the salt, and the pepper. I like mine super buttery. So, of course, I had to go in there and add a little bit more. Y'all, let me know if you're going to try these Instant Pot mashed potatoes. I absolutely love doing collard greens with that smoked turkey meat in the Instant Pot because the Instant Pot will just break down the tough fibers and that tough turkey into something tender and delicious with some good pot liquor, y'all, okay? And the best part is that it's ready in only 35 minutes. So I'm going to show you how I do my Gumbo-style collard greens in the Instant Pot. First, I'm going to prep my fresh collard greens. These are straight from my garden, so they are going to be nice, tender, and sweet. So I'm going to just take my fingers and pull out those stems. Then I'm going to stack them up, roll them together, and then begin to slice them into about an inch thickness. Don't make them too thin because when you pressure cook them, they're going to get quite tender. So you don't want the pieces to be very small. You should have some ribbons that look very similar to this. Next, I'm going to prep 1 stalk of celery and just chop that into thin pieces, and then dice 1 onion. I am going to be using this chicken and andouille sausage. Look, I know a lot of y'all don't play with the pork, okay? So if you don't do pork, this is a good andouille sausage for you. I have to choose Cajun style because it just has those good spices, all right? I might be able to cut back on that pork, but I can't cut back on that butter. Okay, so we're going to put a tablespoon of butter in our skillet, and then I'm going to saute these sausages for about a minute or two until they start to get a nice color. The reason why I am doing this on the stove instead of in the Instant Pot liner is because there's so many sausages and vegetables and whatnot. I just feel like I can saute them faster on the stovetop, but feel free to do it in the Instant Pot on saute mode if you want. Now, I know y'all saw me add in that little bit of fat back, but you know, we just going to ignore that and just pretend that's turkey fat, okay? Then I'm going to put in my Cajun seasoning, and I'm going to saute it for about a minute. I'm going to put in 1/4 cup of a dry roux. I don't want to stand over the stove and just make the roux with oil. To me, just using a dry roux is easier. It's all it is just some baked flour. I made it, but you can also buy it in the store. Into my Instant Pot, I'm going to add a piece of smoked turkey wing, but you can use turkey tail or smoked turkey drumstick, all the vegetables, some fresh thyme, and all of those collard greens. Pack them in, honey, pack them in. Don't even worry about the max line because they're all going to go down while you're pressure cooking. I am going to set this to pressure cook for 35 minutes, and really, since I was using garden greens, I really could have did about 20 minutes, but I wanted that smoked turkey to be falling off the bone, so that's why I did a little bit of a longer pressure cooker time. However, if you're using some really tough or really mature greens from the store, I assure you, you're going to need the full 35 minutes. And look at how quick this is, okay? As opposed to just letting your collard greens simmer on the stove for 2 hours. My goodness, honey, it is already done. I'm going to balance out the flavors with a little bit of sugar and a little bit of apple cider vinegar. And then you can just adjust any of the seasonings to your taste. You could eat this as a side dish or even a full meal if you add a little bit of cornbread and some rice. Honey, this is so delicious. Let me know if you are going to make this. I hope you all love these recipes. Let me know which ones you are going to try. I'm going to see you next time in Kamira's Kitchen. Goodbye and God bless.